Blue Jackets' playoff hopes are slipping through their fingers, but help is on the way. We talk about the return of Sean Monahan on today's Locked on Blue Jackets.
You're Locked on Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favourite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day, every single day. Locked on Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. Now, got a lot to talk about today. Blue Jackets continue to stumble, falling to the Pittsburgh Penguins, which is really annoying for so many reasons. But back at it, they're still only 4 points out of a playoff spot. They can still make this work, you know? Sean Monahan returns to the lineup. Erik Gudbranson returns to the lineup. We're going to talk about both of those things. And also, the Islanders have heated up a little bit, and they are right back in the playoff conversation. So we have to talk about that, and also how the Blue Jackets can beat them, because they did not do that last time these two teams faced off against each other. The Blue Jackets forgot how to score and let the Islanders win the game. So we don't want that to happen again, obviously. But I thought we would start by just kind of checking in with the Blue Jackets in general. Like, obviously, the game against Pittsburgh was bad. It was not ideal. I did get the score right and the team's wrong. I said it was going to be a 6-3 win. It was, in fact, a 6-3 loss because, and I said it before the game, I was like, man, starting Elvis back-to-back is either going to go really well or really badly, and it turns out it went really badly. I don't know why they didn't start Jet Greaves. Like, I don't understand. You have him right there. I understand that Tarasov was ill, and, you know, Jet Greaves might not have been ready to go, but, like, 6 goals on 34 shots, unless one of them was an empty net goal, which I don't believe it was. Oh, no, it was. Excuse me. So 5 goals on 33 shots. Blue Jackets had 47 shots and couldn't solve Alex Nedeljkovic, which story of the last 2 weeks, right? They see a goalie, they forget what to do. They hit the net and they cannot for the life of them get it past the goalie. You know, they're shooting at like 2% at the minute. That's got to change. Great to see Boone Jenner get his first goal of the season. Ken Johnson scored a great goal, but like, this was a very winnable game. And the fact that they didn't is, for me, more worrying than, you know, the losses to Vegas, to Florida, to Tampa Bay, etc., etc. This is the team you should beat, and they didn't. They are now, I believe, 2-7-1 in the last 10 games. They're on a 6-game losing streak, and they're coming in to play the Islanders, who are 2 points ahead of them in the standings right now, which feels insane, because, you know, 2-3 weeks ago, the Islanders were dead in the water, right? They're 5-3-2 in their last 10 games of the Islanders. They had a little 3-game win streak going. They're on a 5-game point streak right now. They had an overtime loss against Edmonton, 3 wins in a row, and then an overtime loss against Calgary. They seem to have, again, they didn't necessarily do a lot of selling at the deadline, and I don't think they did really any buying. They got rid of Brock Nelson, and have decided to make the playoffs on top of that, which feels insane. Like, their leading scorer right now is Bo Horvat, who has 48 points. Insane. I don't understand where this scoring came from. Like, they're 25th in the league in goals for per game, and yet, like, they're getting good goaltending. That helps. But actually, I don't want to get too deep into the Islanders because I want to talk about some other stuff first. But what I wanted to say about this, without getting too deep into it, is the Blue Jackets have struggled. They've got 1 point out of their last 12 possible points. they are still only 4 points out of a playoff spot. Montreal is at 75 points. The Blue Jackets are at 71 points. Now, if they win tonight, knock on wood, they will, if they win in regulation, they will go above the Islanders. If they win in overtime, I believe the Islanders will jump the Rangers. The Blue Jackets will go behind the Rangers. So they'll still be in the same spot, but they'll only be 2 points behind the Canadiens, who again are sitting at 75 points. Same number of games played. Canadiens have 2 overtime losses in a row, which is frustrating because if they just lost those in regulation, the Blue Jackets would be in way better shape. But again, the margin for error continues to be so slim, right? Like, the Penguins are 5-4-1 in their last 10 games. They're at 68 points, 3 behind the Blue Jackets. 7 points out of a playoff spot. Now, that for me is just out of like attainable reach. The Bruins are at 69 points. They're 6 points out. That to me is kind of like the end of the wild card chase. Things can change, obviously, but like the Blue Jackets they're still right in there. You know, the 6-game losing streak has been frustrating for many people, themselves included. You know, they've gone 500 on this, they'd be in a playoff spot handily. You know, they would be sitting at 77 points, 3 behind the New Jersey Devils. You know, they can still do it. They've made it hard on themselves, but it seems kind of like no one else in the race wants to make the playoffs either. So, like, the Rangers, 3-5-2 in their last 10. The Islanders have the best record. They're 5-3-2. Blue Jackets are 2-7-1. We'll talk about that in a minute. The Red Wings are 2-8. The Bruins are 2-7-1. Like, the Canadiens have kind of really taken advantage of this. They're 5-1-4 in their last 10 games. Have they peaked too early? Maybe. What's going to be really interesting is the Ottawa Senators. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. They are 5 points clear of the playoffs, by which I mean they've got 79 points, and the first team on the outside is the Rangers with 74. Have they peaked too early? Blue Jackets still have to play all 3 of their games against the Senators this season. Could get interesting. I'm going to pull up when those games are because I believe one of them is next week. That's when they start. Yeah, so the Blue Jackets play tonight against the Islanders, then they don't play again until Friday, I believe. They play Vancouver. Saturday, they play the Senators. And then the next week, they play the Senators on the 6th. And then I believe again on the 8th. So big season series coming up. Can the Blue Jackets do it? We certainly hope so. It's been a tough stretch, right? The shooting, which I think the fact that it looks so brutal right now, I think, is because the shooting has been so hot all year, right? Like, they are one of the top scoring teams in the entire league and have been for a lot of the season. You know, even with the slump that they're on right now, they are still second in the league in 5-on-5 goals, and that's after scoring 4 goals in their last 5 games, right? Before the game against the Penguins, they'd scored 1 goal in their last 4 games, you know, and they're still second in the league in 5-on-5 goals. Now, if you turn to all situations, it gets a little bit dicier. The Blue Jackets' power play woes have been so bad, but they're still 11th in the league in goals for, right? Only 10 teams in the league have more goals than them, even with that hot streak or cold streak. But they've been so good at scoring all season. It looks so stark now when you look at it. But yeah, it looks much worse than it feels so much worse than it would be if they'd been like, if all season long they'd struggled to score more than 3 goals in a game, right? It would look so much less bad. But because you look at it and like there was the first 8 games of the season, I think they either lost the game or they scored 6 goals and won the game, right? They had 6-4 wins, 6-2 wins, 6-3 wins, 6-5 win. Like, they were basically scoring goals at will. So now that they've stopped being able to score goals, it just looks brutal, right? So how do they fix it? Well, one reason that they can fix it, or one way to fix it, help is on the way. They've got reinforcements coming. Sean Monahan is back in the lineup. There are 13 games left in the season, which feels real poetic. Let's talk about Sean Monahan. how badly this team has needed him over the past couple of games and what he can bring to this lineup. So we'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'm going to tell you about wonderful pistachios. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Pistachios are one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they are packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep feeling fuller for longer. I am a gremlin, and I love to eat snacks by the handful, and so I love the no-shells variety that Wonderful Pistachios provides. I don't need to sit there and crack every single shell open. If you love doing that, no shade. That's just not for me. I like to eat pistachios 14 at a time. So I love that I can just buy them without the shells in, and I can do that with Wonderful Pistachios. Get snackin, get crackin. The snack packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's talk about Sean Monahan. Sean Monahan has been missing from the lineup for, I believe, 28 games. He played 41 games, got injured against the Penguins, which I will never forgive them for. You know, just another reason to dislike this team, right? He was a point a game before this happened. 41 points, 41 games, was the team's number one center, was like everything came through him. Even with the fact that he's been missing for all of these games, he's still 6th on the team in scoring. The only players with more points than him, Dmitry Voronkov, Adam Fantilli, Ken Johnson, Kirill Marchenko, Zach Werenski. That's it. Which seems wild, right? He's been so good for the team. It was a big loss for the team, and getting him back is huge. Not only for the fact that his pairing him with Dmitry Voronkov and Kirill Marchenko is one of the best lines in the NHL at creating offense. Just straight up, like, that's not me being hyperbolic. They create more offense than basically any other line out there. Let's see if I can pull up the actual numbers for you. But the power play is where he's really going to shine, I think. Because the power play has been running through him, and the fact that it hasn't is a real, like, it's really frustrating to watch the power play without Sean Monahan. It really is. Okay, so some lines have overtaken, but for teams that have played, for lines that have played more than 220 minutes together, they are currently sitting at 11th in the league. They've played 229 minutes together. They have an expected goals for percentage of 59%. Only 10 lines in the NHL are better than that. And that includes, lines with guys like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Nikita Kucherov. Like, they do a great job. The Knies Matthews-Marner line is in there. Like, these are some of the lines that are better than Voronkov, Monahan, Marchenko, but they have been far and away the best line for the Blue Jackets. And so it's great to have them back. Back together. I was unsure what they were going to do when Monahan came back. I think the fact that the Blue Jackets offense has basically disappeared entirely has made that decision a little bit easier, in terms of, well, it's not like the Fantilli, Marchenko, Voronkov line has been, lighting it up the past handful of games. So they're like, well, this line basically scored at will. Let's put it back together. They've put Adam Fantilli with Boone Jenner and Kent Johnson, which I don't think I hate. I would put Chinakhov there. I know that I'm in the minority there. I know that a lot of people are kind of frustrated with Chinakhov and how he's been playing. To which I say, yeah, he's been injured for so long. Like, again, I understand that there's only so much time they can give him, but I thought he has looked better and better with each game. So who's to say? Looks like Chinakov's going to be on the outside looking in, but having Sean Monahan back is such good news for this team. The power play has been god-awful. Basically, since he left. You know, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was on about 25% before he was injured. Since he's been injured, they've gone like 4 out of 50. And that they've scored 4 power play goals in 50 attempts. It's been that bad. So I would love to see some power play goals in this upcoming game. The Islanders are the worst. They have the worst power play in the league and the third worst penalty kill in the league. So the rare occasion where the Blue Jackets are playing a team where their special teams are worse than the Blue Jackets, let's see if they can go ahead and find a way to A, kill penalties, and B, score some power play goals, because both of those things are going to be huge. Again, we'll talk about the Islanders in more detail in a second here. The other guy that's back, Erik Gudbranson, is back in the lineup. He's missed 66 games so far. He's going to be in for the against the Islanders. New look defense pairings as well. It looks like we're going to keep Werenski and Fabro together. We are going to experience Provorov-Severson as a second pairing, and then Matejchuk is going to play with Gudbranson on the third pairing. This is going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be clown shoes or it's going to be surprisingly good. I feel like, and again, we've talked about Elvis being feast or famine all season long. The Provorov-Severson pairing is also, they're either excellent or a complete nightmare. So I guess we just have to kind of hope that it's the first, because if it's the second, then we're going to struggle, because they cannot play. They're going to try. They cannot play Werenski for 45 minutes of this game, you know? Be interesting to see Gudbranson back in the lineup. Obviously, he is maybe going to take a minute to get back into it. I know that he got cleared medically, I think, earlier last week, but wasn't ready to, like, play games. Now, looks like he's ready. Looks like he's back in. Hopefully, again, I'm not expecting Erik Gudbranson to move the world. I need him to not be an abject disaster when he's on the ice. And I need him to be the adult, right? Like, we talked about that all summer long. The Blue Jackets didn't have enough adults in the room last year. They've had a lot of adults over the summer. They need Erik Gudbranson to be the alternate captain, right? They need him to be a veteran, a leader. They're not looking at him to score goals. They're looking at him to play a little bit of defense and mostly just kind of be there for hype purposes, I think. So having said all of that, Erik Gudbranson is absolutely going to score tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, tonight, because I've said that he's not there for goals, and this team loves to make me look stupid. So both good guys to get back. I don't know what's going to happen when Jake Christensen is healthy. Does he go back in for Matejchuk? Does he go in for Severson? Do they decide that this is the light? Like, and I guess it really all depends on what happens in this game, in the next couple of games. It'll be a shame for Christensen to lose his spot like that, because I think he has been a shockingly good NHL player this season. But this team, the margin for error is so tight that if you win on tonight against the Islanders, you have to keep rolling that line up for the next game against, I've already forgotten who it is, the Canucks. You have to keep it for the next game until it stops working. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And this team has been struggling for so long. It's been 2 weeks. It sounds really dramatic when I say it like that, but like, the team hasn't won in 6 games. If you find a winning lineup, you got to keep it, right? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how Erik Gudbranson does. Again, I'm not expecting a life-changing game from Erik Gudbranson tonight, but I am expecting something, because I think this team has enough competent third-pairing defensemen that if Erik Gudbranson is going to be a liability, you have to replace him with someone else. So again, we'll see. I'm not expecting much from the defense. Luckily, the Islanders are mostly defense and not offense based. So if they can, if they can outscore the Islanders, like if they can get up early, then it's probably a good thing. I don't know which goalie we're going to see. Ilya Sorokin has a 908 save percentage. Varlamov has an 889, but always plays well against the Blue Jackets. So again, we'll see what's going on there. And we'll talk about that in a second, actually. But having Monahan back is great. Having Gudbranson back is great. Just need to get Sillinger back. Just get Cole Sillinger back healthy. It's a whole different lineup when you have your top three centers healthy. I do love that they've moved Jenner back to the wing instead of putting him as the 3C. Hopefully that line works. But like I said, we'll see. We'll talk about it in just a second. When we return to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's tell you about Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's super easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO gives you full visibility and control over your finances. And it's not just a budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. I have been in London this weekend and realized when I was looking at my bank account this morning how much money I spent on food yesterday. So Monarch is going to be really great for me to figure out how to salvage the remains of my March budget. It's super convenient. I don't have to go to a million different apps. There's no, opening my banking app and going to a spreadsheet and going to a budgeting app and back to my spreadsheet and back to my banking app and back to the budget app. You can use Monarch to track your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for 50% off your first year. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's go ahead and talk about the New York Islanders. I've talked about them a little bit throughout the episode, but let's get properly into it. The Blue Jackets need this to be a win. The Islanders are 2 points ahead of them in the standings. The Blue Jackets need this, and they need it in regulation. None of this overtime nonsense. Stop giving Metro opponents pity points. Stop doing it. My guess is that it'll be Elvis Mozikins in net. He wasn't great against the Penguins, but he was very good against the Panthers, who they played the previous night. So again, which Elvis do we get? There's no way to know. I don't know whether he's in a good stretch or a bad stretch at the minute. We are due a good Elvis game, I believe. We had 2 good Elvis games, 2 bad Elvis games, 1 good Elvis game, 1 bad Elvis game, the Pittsburgh game. So in theory, tonight should be a good Elvis game. We cross our fingers, we hope. I don't know if it'll be Elvis that starts. My guess is that it'll be Elvis. I don't think we'll see Tarasov until the Canucks game. But I don't know who the Islanders are going to play. I would put Sorokin in if I was them. This is, again, kind of a must-win game for them, and that probably benefits the Blue Jackets a little bit, even though Sorokin is the better goalie. I feel like Varlamov always plays well against the Blue Jackets, so if they can avoid facing him, that feels like good news to me. Although I believe, actually, having said that, I believe the Islanders might be rolling different goalies right now. I believe Varlamov is hurt. I believe they're rolling with is it Magnus Hogberg? I believe his name is Marcus Hogberg. Excuse me. He played the overtime loss to Calgary. So knowing now that they're rolling him and Sorokin, we're probably going to see Sorokin, which is fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Having said that, now Sorokin is going to put in the performance of his life. But the Blue Jackets have more firepower than the Islanders, especially with Monahan back. That changes the offense. It makes it a lot more dynamic. It spreads the wealth a little bit, which is great because right now I'm looking at, NHL.com. They do these like game day preview things and they have like players to watch and it's who's scored the most points on either team in the last 5 games. The Islanders, Noah Dobson has 7 points, including 5 assists in his last 5 games. Bo Horvat has 4 goals in his last 5 games. For the Blue Jackets, their leading scorer over the last 5 games is Mathieu Olivier, who has a goal and an assist. You can't make this up. The Blue Jackets, the offense has fallen off an absolute cliff. if they can score early, this feels like a good sign. I feel like the Islanders struggle to come from behind. So if you can get there, if you can come out of the first period, up 1-0, up 2-0, great. Don't take your foot off the gas. But this is definitely a good sign. They are, I believe, in Long Island for this, which doesn't help. Again, the Blue Jackets have been much better at home than they have been on the road, despite their recent homestand disaster. All just win. This is, and again, this is what the analysis comes down to, right? Is what does it mean to win this game? What does it mean to lose this game? It doesn't matter. Win the game. I've been saying it for like 4 games now. Just win this game. Deal with everything else later, right? Get 2 points tonight. Move on. Deal with Vancouver. You're still in it. The Blue Jackets are still in the mix, right? They can overtake. All they're going to do is win one more game than the Habs do. That's it. Win one more game than the Islanders. One more game than the Rangers. That's literally all they've got to do. Just get hot at the right time. Monahan's back. That helps. Gudbranson's back. That helps. Sillinger is going to be back. That'll help. Like, they're not in control of their own destiny necessarily, but if they win tonight, that's going to go a long way, right? And then you get one win, you build on it. You build on it. You build on it. In terms of who needs to have a good game for the Blue Jackets, obviously, Sean Monahan coming back is huge. Kromachenko needs to have a big game for me. He has been quiet-ish recently. And when I say quiet-ish recently, I mean that he hasn't got a single point in his last 5 games. His last point is a goal against the New Jersey Devils on March 11th. That was his last point. Similarly, Zach Werenski has gone a little bit cold. He's got 69 points in 68 games, which is still, leading the team and is still incredible. But he hasn't got any points in his last 5 games either. Or it might even be slightly longer than that. No, his last point as well was that March 11th game against the Devils. He needs to heat up. Everyone on the team needs to heat up because, again, they scored 1 goal in a 4-game stretch. They got shut out by Florida, the Rangers, and Vegas, and scored 1 goal against the Devils. They need to get back to scoring. But for my money, they need Monahan to be Monahan again. They need Werenski to go back to what he was doing earlier this season. They need Marchenko to start scoring again. Like, they need the big names to just step up, right? They need guys like Werenski to show up. They need Adam Fantilli to show up. They need guys like Voronkov. Voronkov has kind of been floating. He's been struggling for a while here. He hit 20 goals. No points in the last 5 games. No points in his last 6, actually. He's got 2 points in his last 7, 8, 9. In his last 9 games, he's got 2 assists. That was the March 9th game against the Rangers. Not good enough. The whole team has been struggling, so this is not me calling Dmitry Voronkov out specifically, but they need to be better, and that top line specifically needs to have a great night. I would love to see more from the bottom 6. I'd love to see more from, guys like Zach Aston Reeks. I'd love to see more from guys like Sean Corrali. I think Justin Danforth has looked good, but hasn't, he got a goal against the Penguins, I believe. He also got a goal semi-recently he had an assist against the Devils, and then he had a goal against the Rangers again on March 9th. So 3 points in his last 7 games, which is pretty good for a guy who's playing center when he shouldn't be and is, on the 3rd line. So would like for him to get a little bit more involved, but mostly I'm like, the big names need to show up, right? You need a big night from Werenski. You need a big night from Marchenko. If Provorov and Severson can get back to the early days of that defense pair, when they were first put together at the beginning of last season, they had a stretch of maybe 5 or 6 games where I was like, oh, this is great. I love this. And then they fell apart, right? They have to be better than that. I need the Provorov-Severson pairing, or the Proverson pairing, as I called it back in the day. That needs to be perfect. We need good Severson and not bad Severson, which feels like a tall order. Feels tough to ask for right now, but we've asked for more. We've asked for more and received it, you know? So we'll see. Predictions? Let's say a 4-1 victory for the Blue Jackets, probably including an empty netter. And I'm going to say that we get a Sean Monahan goal. I think he scores in his return. He needs to. We need him. Tomorrow, we'll break it down. We'll look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of your favorite team and mine. Hopefully more of the first than the second two. I'm tired of talking about the bad and the ugly. I would like to start talking about the good. Thank you for listening, for making us your first listener today every single day. Locked on Blue Jackets continues to be free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. I am your host, Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show. I've already said all of that. LO_Blue Jackets is where you can find us on Twitter. I'm losing control of this outro very quickly, so I will go ahead and finish it up. But tomorrow, we'll break down tonight's game. Hopefully, we'll talk about a win. It's been a million years. Until then, make sure you stay locked on.